Two very popular PC gaming storefronts just got torched. Advocacy groups running the payment processes got those payment processes to pressure Steam and itch.io in removing a swath of games. Not only is this problematic for game preservation, the problem is the strategy they used works. And it's effective, and it sets a precedent that is not only hazardous to the future of gaming, it is a return to the scare tactics used so much in the early decades of gaming, all meant to censor what kind of games you can even experience. We have a lot to talk about. Hello everyone, I am Jmulls, and let's get right on into this. Let me get you all up to speed. Earlier this month, advocacy groups managed to convince payment processors, think companies akin to Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, companies that process payments to various storefronts, in a successful attempt to regulate and to censor various games those storefronts have on their storefront. In this instance, Steam, the very popular PC gaming platform, and itch.io, which is widely used by indie games. Now, the games that were targeted, quite frankly, were disgusting. And I'm not even going to show the list of the games that they targeted, on Steam at least. But that list is out there on the internet if you really want to find it. But the Steam list of games that were removed are a list of adult games, dealing with, let's say, various topics many people would look down upon or frown upon. That is putting it as kindly and as, well, just kindly as I can put it. And it is my belief that these games were targeted because, well, you're not going to see many people go out to bat in defense of these individual games, because it would simply be a bad look. But the problem here isn't the games that they specifically targeted, it's the precedent this sets. And the fact that you can go after these payment processors, yap at them enough, and convince them to lay the proverbial hammer down on storefronts to go after games you specifically don't like, just so long as you have enough people and allowed enough. Look, if the games were illegal, that'd be one thing, but the idea that people can just find a way to censor part of an entire medium by simply going after the money is a precedent that I don't think should be encouraged, tolerated, or even allowed. It's a tale as old as time. You go after things people aren't going to defend. And if you're successful in your attempt to censor those things, then on a case-by-case basis, you're not going to find people advocating for or defending, because they find them repulsive or disgusting for one reason or the other. But if you're successful, well, you've established precedent, and now you can take another inch. All the while using your previous successful attempt as justification for your next, which may not comprise titles or experiences as cut and dry as before. Look, if you've been around the block for games for the last couple of decades, you'll know the types of games that people really want to go after. Games they don't deem to be strictly pure. Grand Theft Auto has been a popular one to go after for many decades. It's just it's so popular that it doesn't really work. But should a game's existence be predicated on the fact that it's super popular like GTA? And if it's not that popular in terms of having the clout of GTA, does that make it okay to allow groups to go after it? I don't think it does. Look, I get it, the term slippery slope can be wildly overused, to the point that it's kind of hard to take it seriously at some points, but I do think it applies here, especially when it's so obviously the tactic being used here, even if they're not directly saying it. Now, the reason I'm not naming names here is because I don't think individuals in this scenario are the root problem. The problem is that this is allowed to happen to begin with. There's a lot of people on this planet. There's a lot of people that are loud, there's a lot of people that are annoying, and there's a lot of people that want to enforce their will upon other people because they're miserable or whatever. It's a tale as old as time, and it's a tale we're going to hear again. The problem is when it works in cases of games that aren't illegal. Now people know this is a viable tactic to use if you have enough people that think like you, and you have a target. Is it entirely possible that the buck stops here? Yeah, it's possible, but it's also possible, if not more likely, that the same groups or similar groups that went after these games are going to try again for other games, for other reasons. If you don't nip stuff like this in the bud, then eventually it'll come to the games that you like, and just overall to the things that you like. People that are upset and angry will find another reason to be upset and angry at any other thing. The target may change, but the underlying goal remains the same. find a way to enforce their will upon you. I view it to be vile and disgusting. So even when this stuff happens to games that I don't like and that I don't appreciate, I can see the behavior and the actions for what they are, a prelude of things to come. And it's something that in my eyes should be advocated against and spoken up about before it's too late, because this can easily become a snowball tumbling down a mountainside, getting bigger and larger based on its own momentum. I don't like the idea of other people telling me what I can or cannot play. It is my business. It is not theirs. And if they want to quote-unquote protect the kids, maybe they should just be better parents. It is not mine or anyone else's responsibility to parent your own kids for you. And it's actions like this, and this decades-long attempt to go after video games, is nothing more than a way to pass the blame off of themselves and onto society or to others to explain away the consequences of their own bad parenting. Steam even had to update their rules and guidelines for what games can be allowed on Steam or not, or what shouldn't be published on Steam, and the 15th rule says content that may violate the rules and standards set forth by Steam's payment processors and related card networks and banks or internet network providers, in particular certain kinds of adult-only content. That little bit at the end there is kind of cute, but what if they update this down the line to remove it? Why should these payment processors, or related card networks and banks, or internet network providers have any say in the content that I can choose to partake in or not? That you can choose to partake in or not. But like I said before, it's a slippery slope to establish precedent to make their case and point stronger the next time this comes around and the next time they want to go after something, for whatever reason. That's the problem in my eyes. Chances are, over the years, you have heard the stories of how many groups of annoying people and advocacy groups have gone after gaming, using whatever pressure or leverage they can. The big one for the longest time was violent video games, and I am not of the opinion that those voices no longer exist. They're just quiet, waiting in the grass like a viper to strike at the right opportunity. And it's scenarios, moments like this, like what's going on with Steam and itch.io, that give them the possible firepower, reasoning, and chance and opportunity to strike all over again, now with a new weapon in their toolkit. Well, it's not particularly a new weapon, but this weapon's edge has just been sharpened to a grain we have probably never seen before. Grand Theft Auto 6, when it comes out, is certainly going to be one of the biggest game launches of all time. It's going to draw a lot of attention, and probably from groups like this, in my opinion, or other like-minded groups that seek to censor video games and to censor the games that you can possibly enjoy. Not out of a desire to better society, but in a way to enforce their will upon you. It's a tale as old as time. If you want to get something crappy done, either package it in something boring, or take an inch at a time until you get the mile. Because each new inch you get is more precedent you set in order to further your goal, your agenda. Because it starts with these weird adult games right now, and then it probably progresses to just games with nudity, or sexual themes overall. And then it's not long for the connection to be made to violent video games, and they can go back and circle that wagon all over again, like a band of wolves encircling their prey. It may sound crazy, far out, and unrealistic, but anything is possible now, and anything can happen so long as there aren't voices that rise up in dissent to these other voices. These companies have to know that it would be unpopular to further this agenda, to continue going down this line. At the end of it all, these companies don't have a moral compass. They just want more money. And the reason they're willing to capitulate to these groups is because they view these games as a brand risk, which would affect their bottom line, which would affect the money they make. Because that is what they're being told by these advocacy groups. That is the methodology. If you want a business to capitulate to your will, convince them on the money front of it. They're not going to bite just because of some lofty moral. They care about the money. It's as simple and plain as that. And in my opinion, it's disgusting they even have this power to begin with. And unless it's illegal, I don't like the idea of some random group of people I never met nor care about being able to come in and judge whether or not I should be able to play a game or not. I can make that decision on my own, please and thank you. That shouldn't be anyone else's concern but my own. Nor should it be my concern or anyone else's what games you play. You should have that freedom to choose, that ability to think for yourself. I don't think that's some out there moral, I think that's just basic common sense. That's just how it should naturally go.
To see a city in a place like this.
This very well could be a rapidly developing situation, or it will become a slumbering beast until it is time to awaken again. But here's where you come in. Leave a comment down below with if you are for or against the actions that are going on right now. Do you like that Steam and itch.io are cracking down on games like this? Do you view it also to be a slippery slope? Where do you think things go from here? I'd love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions, and hear your perspectives. And for more gaming news and thoughts, you should leave a like and subscribe. Follow me on TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter, Jmulls G. I have a Discord in the description down below. And guys, I was so dang wrong about Donkey Kong Bonanza. And if you want to find out my first impressions, you should check out this video right here. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you all next time. Until we meet again!